Obviously, quick turnaround here with really good team in Illinois. So got a quick turnaround against a talented, and tough-minded group that's well coached, and be obviously playing there with fans for the first time in a few years. So only playing them once this year after obviously playing in the Big Ten championship game a couple times last year. So quick turnaround, and as far as the health of our guys, we've got some guys that have felt a little bit under the weather the last couple of days, but all in all, no significant change to our injury report as of now.
We all know what Kofi can do, and we know what his numbers tell you. He's historically not put up those kinds of numbers against you. I know he's different, he's bigger and everything this year, but what do you think you've done well on him in the past that's enabled you to sort of keep him in check?
He's obviously he's a tremendous player, and he's a tremendous finisher around the basket, two-point finisher, rim runner, all those things. He creates so much help situations. I think we've probably done a good job with some of our positioning against him. You're trying to keep a body on him as much as possible, but all in all, Adam, he's a guy that you're not going to expect to, he's going to get some of his, and you're trying as much as possible just to make him work.
Obviously, they're not apples to apples, but coming off the physical challenge that Indiana presented, does that help at all in preparation for this? Like going into that game, and some you mentioned like angles and things with EJ on Tracy.
It may. I think the reality is both games were very physical. Iowa might have been our most physical game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're playing really physical opponents. That certainly prepares you well for another really physical opponent. And while Iowa's physicality was a little bit different, it was still a very, very physical game across the board. And then the bigs with Indiana, I think that was a physical game as well.
Coach, I know you said just now, of course, but on the radio specifically, you said something about one very important guy for you guys was dealing with an illness. Are you able to say who that was the other night?
Yeah, no, I'd rather just keep that between us. But he did a great job battling through it, and I didn't really hit him until kind of right before tip, honestly. And then he told me about it in the midst of the game. So hopefully he'll continue to get his energy back where it needs to.
A lot of people look at this game and think that it's a tremendous challenge. How much do you try to look at it as an opportunity to be a challenge?
Yeah, I think both, really. Both. Obviously, we're only playing them once. It's unique where, you'd love to be able to have a league where you can't, but you'd love to be able to have a league where you can play everybody twice. I'm a fan of those kind of situations. With a league this big, you can't do it, and I understand why you can't do it, but I'd love to be able to do traditional home and homes. But having said that, we've got them obviously once on the road, as well as a couple other teams on the road once. So I think all in all, you look at it as both. Certainly a great challenge and a great opportunity.
When you look at the way that this league is starting to shake out, I know I asked you a couple weeks ago and you said you didn't want to talk about it yet, but that's something that starts to crop up around this time with 4 or 5 games left. This is a huge opportunity for your team to stay right up there near the top. How important is it in that aspect? And do you start to touch on that maybe a little bit now that you're into this stretch?
I think our focus is still on really the day-to-day stuff of improving our on those things we have to improve on. I just big believer that the results will take care of themselves if we're focusing on the right stuff. So at the end of the day, there's not a lot of those conversations. Not like we're hanging up, league standings, and our guys are aware of them, and throughout the year we've made them aware of them. But the reality is you're just trying to focus on kind of the important things that you think really matter with your team right now, kind of the nuts nuts and bolts. And the rest of that stuff hopefully will take care of itself. There's still a lot of games to be played from a lot of teams still in our league.
Gene was talking today about how his defensive versatility is kind of the product of kind of where he learned the game of basketball, who he was playing against. Is that something that you saw from the get-go when you were recruiting him? And kind of what was your first impression of Gene there?
Yeah, just that long, versatile ability to guard a couple different positions. He's really gotten stronger since he's been here, but we just liked his size and versatility. Got injured in high school pretty significantly, and I think that affected him some. That and his shooting were things that we kind of liked. His dad did a great job coaching him, and we love his family. You know, we just felt like he comes from just a tremendous group of people, and that always is really exciting for us in recruiting guys.
And you've talked in the past about how you've challenged him in his offensive game, and I'm curious, was the Indiana game kind of a sign of progress? Was that kind of, you know, exciting for you that he's kind of starting to show that a little bit?
Anytime you see that with guys, you know, I think he struggled in the Iowa game, but I thought he played within himself and was aggressive, took the opportunities that were there, was ready on the catch. Yeah, I really liked what we saw from him.
Staying with Gene, he was asked if he felt like he arrived when he was named the starter. You heard his name pronounced as a starter. He said, no, it's all about the game, how I play in the game, the end of the game, not about starting the game. What does that say about his maturity at his age to say something like that? And have you seen that, and where have you seen that?
Yeah, it's one of the things we've always loved about Gene is, you know, again, he comes from a coaching family. His dad, they're very much a basketball family, and they've been around it, so they understand it. He's probably heard his dad have conversations about the lack of importance of starting versus not starting, and it's about how you play in the game and how you finish and the trust you build with the coaches. So he gets all that, but it speaks to his maturity overall too. I'm sure it helps coming from a basketball family, but it also speaks to his maturity as well.
What does that do for you as a coach to have a guy that young and come in as a freshman, sophomore, and they're already that mature? You don't have to coach them up that way. You can focus on the basketball side of things.
Yeah, we try to identify that in recruiting as much as possible. If we can, I've talked about that a lot, how the element of maturity is really important to us in recruiting guys, and you ask those questions. So, you know, Gene's a great kid. He's a really, really smart kid. He's an excellent student, and continues to grow as a player, and that's what you want. I think sometimes people forget. I know I forget at times. We've got a couple sophomores and a freshman that are in the starting lineup, and you know, we've got we've got a couple freshmen that really play a lot. So a couple sophomores who are kind of growing, you know, in front of us. So, you know, that's a good thing for us as a program.
I know everyone would love to come in as a freshman and make an immediate impact, Malachi style, but how important was Gene's freshman year just to kind of get used to the college game, make the adjustments, play some, have a role, but kind of grow into what he's become this year?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's always hard on guys, but I also think they don't have to look too far to see some of their teammates or guys they played AAU with playing less than them or lesser roles. It's all over college basketball. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not the only one that's kind of going through this. So I think his first year he did played important games, helped us win, but his game's got to continue to grow. And that's the most important thing I'm challenging him with. He's got to continue to grow his overall game. Ball skills have to continue to get better. Consistent shooting has to continue to get better. He's got to continue to be a complete defender and grow in that area. And I know if he continues to work, that'll be the case, and I love that about him.
Just looking at this Illinois team, looks like they start 4 seniors at guard, and Coburn is a junior, obviously. Just they present some challenges, it appears, on paper. Just
Yeah.
scouting them. What
On
and
film, too.
Curvello coming off the bench too. I mean,
Yeah.
as he's working his way back in, just what
Yeah.
do you see with them? It's more than just a big guy.
Yeah, no, you got a 5-year starter in Trent Frazier, 5 or 6, I think, maybe 5-year starter. He started since he got there, so maybe 6 years. It might be 6 years, but he started since he got there. He's really as key to them as anything. Plummer's really important as well. I think that was a really impactful transfer for him. I think he came from Utah, Steve. They can really shoot it across the board. They're very old, and obviously Kofi anchors things. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're you know, there's a reason why there's a lot of really good teams in our league, a lot of really good teams, and they're right there for sure.
You're getting kind of deep into the season here against teams that have to win these games to improve their standing, or Michigan State probably need them to get in the tournament, et cetera. Just, you can't afford to have the kind of lapses that maybe you've had the last couple of games and expect to beat teams that are good teams or desperate teams. Just, I don't know, what can you guys do to get that settled and work through those, and play a full 40 minutes?
Yeah, I think just continue to work on it. You're right, the people you play now, as we finish, you know, pretty much everybody's got something to play for. I think as we finish out the schedule, some are playing for seeding, some are playing for, you know, to get off the bubble, whatever the case may be. But, you know, I think just continue to work on those things that we've identified we need to work on. I give our guys a lot of credit because they understand, you know, players they play college basketball. They understand their ebbs and flows in games. And, you know, it's not like an 11-point lead at a 10-minute mark is safe and secure and you can kind of go ahead and, you know, start the car. They realize it's very much about continuing to play possession by possession. And I think we've identified some areas we've got to continue to work on, and we want to keep the focus on that.
One more on Gene. Once you project, like, what do you project his offensive game down the line being? Like, what do you want to see, I guess, him become offensively?
Just continue to grow his overall game. He's got to become a better passer, more consistent shooter, improve his ball skills, overall rounding in his overall skill set. And he's done that. He's continues to grow in that area. But it'll be important. It'll be important off season for him because we expect him to play a big role.
Did you get shorted a possession in the Indiana game? Something with the possession arrow, like it didn't get reset at one point?
I thought we did, and I thought we did in the middle of the game.
Right.
But I've not gotten verification on that. But have you?
I have not, but it sure looked like it didn't get reset at one point, and then
Okay.
looked like everybody on the bench was pointing, they knew it was your ball, and the official said the other way. I wonder if you had gotten clarity.
I went to our bench and said, I think it's our ball. They didn't have to reset the clock. And, you know, David Egelhoff's right about 99% of the time. So I just deferred to him on that. And he said, no, they have reset it. But this question might prompt me to follow up on